Hello, this is the final part of my interview with our SVP, VP, and a director over our digital ad sales program. Without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Um, so one thing that I would say I'm more curious about than anything is what about like the do-it-yourselfers, like those kind of companies that are just like, hey, we have this big business, we know our process, why should we hire you? I mean, in my mind, the answer is ramp, but I would love to hear are scaling their teams. Is there an opinion on your guys' end that
I mean, for me, it's two things. It's that experience of ramp, like everything that Shay, Dan, and I have been talking about, Connor. But it just comes with just we've done this so many times now. And what's a new market you could potentially penetrate into? Like, for example, agency. Are you looking at ad agencies in SMB as a potential lever to go and tackle? We've stood up, dozens of agency teams and scaled them from a small pilot team up to, a beast of 100 plus that's generating millions of dollars of quarterly revenue. And so, what other things can we add in that maybe they haven't thought about because they are seeing really positive return in their current channel? And just how do we break into additional markets? Like we've stood up teams in LATAM, in APAC, in EMEA, all within these SMB spaces. And so why start over from scratch, having to understand what's the best practice for communicating in those regions, from selling in those regions, for sales cycles, all the whole 9 yards, when we can take playbooks that we've built collectively over the years and apply them very fastly and swiftly.
Well, one of the hardest things is as a head of sales, right? If you're a head of sales and you're thinking about, do I launch an SMB team? How am I thinking about my current teams? Do I go international? Do I launch agency? How do I solve churn? I'm always partnering with product and marketing. At the end of the day, you only have so many people who can go launch so many more initiatives, right? And often it's how do I extract more value? How do I accelerate the bets that I've already made? And if you're thinking about SMBs as a new adventure, or maybe you've kicked the tires, but you want to get serious about it, I mean, you need a lot of people. Everything we've been talking is systems, it's process, it's reporting, it's product, it's tooling, it's domain experience in SMB. And to go hire all of that and wait for all of that is expensive and time consuming, not to mention all of the other things you're doing. Maybe you've got some people, but they're focused. And so now you're spreading your people across, I want to go up market and I want to go international. And you start making too many of those bets. And what is strategy? Strategy is what you choose not to do. But by partnering, you can bring all of that experience that Nick is talking about and many years of it, and doing it across different platforms, different countries, different size teams, different phases of growth, depending on where the product is at, and bring all of that experience and institutional knowledge with you through a partnership and scale it faster, because now you're not bogging down your internal resources on it as well. Now, certainly you want to invest some resources to us, but it's very different when you can bring a partner that brings all of that to the table versus having to hire all that yourself.
Yeah, I would add that, and then I would just part of the game is mitigating risk, right? Like there's so many bets to make as an organization. And so you can try and stand it all up solo by yourself. You can hire a whole bunch of key individuals, but I think that's what you're trying to do is just mitigate risk. And so your ability to be able to leverage all of the years of knowledge that we have as just a collective group as we're putting these programs together saves time, resources, money. And that's the name of the game, is trying to continually capture market share. Right. And so how do you do that as fast as possible? We have clients that after we've engaged with them and they were ready to launch, they're like, great, can we launch this in 30 days? And you're like, whoa, there's a little bit more that goes into it than that. But they're like, let's go. And what I would say is I think that's that's the value is we've all made a million mistakes. Right. And so how do we ensure that every new program that we bring on, every new partner that we work with, we're not repeating the same mistakes. We're helping you avoid those mistakes by giving best practice playbooks and getting operationally efficient as fast as humanly possible.
Well, that's probably worth a shout out, right? I mean, Dan, you and I have been in positions where we've explored partnerships with outsourced vendors, and they say, yeah, tell me how to do everything and I'll put butts in seats to do it.
Totally.
If I wanted just butts and seats, I just go hire them myself. I can do that myself, right? But if you want a team that can scale, but also advise you and be a strategic partner and say, hey, to your point, Dan, here's the mistake I made on why you really want to run your org structure in SMB this way versus that way. Or no, this is the comp plan that you want to run if your goal is growth, right? Your AM team and your new business team both need to be revenue drivers, not just one. right? Account ratios to, I mean, all of those things that we've made mistakes on and messed up before, we bring to the table.
Yes.
If you don't have a partner that's doing that for you, the thought can very much be, well, I'll just go hire the people to do that if that's all you're solving for. But somebody like MarketStart, yeah, we bring a lot of scars with us.
Yeah.
Well, and we were the client.
Yeah, well, that helps.
So we understand both sides very, very well, and the benefit of like being able to work through challenges and problems, like for example, building out an account health score predictive model, right? Sure, any company can do it, but like, why not avoid all of the bad practices and implement, hey, what we've seen work extremely well, and we built them on our side. We've helped engage our partners to be able to give them best practice around some of this stuff, and they build it within their internal tooling. So there's all sorts of different ways to do it. But again, it comes back to that. How do you avoid all the mistakes? How do you learn as much as you can? And that's one of our core benefits is we work with so many different partners that we've seen so many different ways of doing it that we can immediately just avoid that. Now, sure, do we make mistakes all day long?
Yep.
We are not perfect by any means, but the truth of it is I can tell you we know how to avoid a lot of them.
Right. In my mind, it's like we have so many clients that we work with and so many different industries and experiences that we all kind of have in this hub that is MarketStar.
Thank you so much for watching. We will see you in the next one.